ChatGPT. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, then get ready, because this promises to be the viral sensation that could completely reset how we do things. It is the embryonic version of online artificial intelligence, the early frontrunner that reportedly has just secured a $10 billion shot in the arm from Microsoft. It is then the new frontier for the tech giants. The initials GPT stand for Generative Pre-trained Transformers. It automatically answers questions based on written prompts. You do not need to be a techie to use this. It is user-friendly. It puts AI in the hands of the masses. Lots of upside, plenty of downside. Last week, the New York City Department of Education banned access to this technology over fears students are using it to write their end-of-term papers. It is that good. James Vincent is a senior reporter at the technology website The Verge. He's been following the rise of ChatGPT. He's used it, so have his mates. How have you found it? How effective is it? Can you pass it off as your own work?
It depends what you're trying to generate with it, but it is more effective than you would think. It's surprisingly effective. The real appeal of ChatGPT is its ability to talk about a range of subjects. Pretty much anything you can think of asking it, it will do, and it can do it in a range of styles as well. So it can write essay papers, it can write sort of college papers, but it can also write limericks, it can write poetry, it can do a whole range of text-based tasks surprisingly well.
Right, I think we can get started. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this month's webinar. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. I know that the previous month was fantastic. We had a speaker, and this month is another edition of this webinar. So I'm super excited to have two amazing software engineers in the house, and I can't wait to get started with the conversation. I know today is a different conversation entirely. It's not about how to write code and everything, but I feel that this topic is one of the things that we have to discuss, like in the tech industry. I know that there's been a lot of buzz around it, on the internet, and some people are just oblivious about this subject. And tonight we'll be talking about the fact that is the coding era coming to an end. I mean, it sounds like a very scary thing when you hear, oh, coming to an end. Is it the end time? But then the reality is that we have to get to a point where we trash this matter and then we understand what it really means to be a software engineer, or what a coding means, and the future of software development. Now, in the age where we have AI and then ChatGPT, I mean, of course, we have more technologies out there that are doing incredible things in the tech industry. So tonight I have with me Grace. Grace, nice to have you on this call. And then my friend as well, Samuel. Grace is going to introduce herself, and of course, Samuel will do the same thing, and then we can kick off the conversation from there. All right. Without further ado, I think we'll start off with Grace. Yeah, Grace, do you want to introduce yourself, and then Sam will take it from there.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Grace. I'm a software engineer with Zone. I'm also a data analyst training. Good to be here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you very much. Yeah, Samuel, do you want to shoot next?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Samuel Odudimu. I'm a software engineer as well. I work presently in Microsoft Nigeria. Yeah. So I'm a friend of, I would say, the TA platform basically, right? So I'm guessing this is like my third session or so.
I mean, the regular customer.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the introduction. All right, guys, we're getting started. Yeah, tonight I think I'm going to start off with Samuel, right? So I know that, I mean, employees are still, except employee, recruiters are still reaching out to software engineers, right? I mean, for my own side, but I'm not sure if that's the reality right now. So let's start off with this conversation. Like, do you think the demand for software engineers have decreased? I mean, in the past few months or in the past few weeks, right? Do you think it has decreased? And if it has, what do you think is the cause? I know that right now there has been a lot of massive layoffs, and I mean here and there. Do you think that the demand for engineers have decreased? I mean, over time.
Um, so it's actually, it's a good question, a tricky one as well. So um, I'm using the word tricky. I mean, tricky in the sense that the times are different, right? So
Mm,
I mean, it's one thing to say that, yeah, in a number of like big companies out there, at least I can speak for like big companies out there because I've got more information about those space, right? There's such a thing as hiring freeze, right? There's such a thing as of course layoffs, and these are things happening due to the uncertain economic situations happening out there, right? So of
mm,
course, when you have like situations like this, companies so like of course slow down their hiring. So I don't know if it's not, I don't know how to answer directly and say this might be that the companies don't need developers again, but
yeah.
this is the time where companies so like cut down resources, right, and try to like work with
Mm.
what they have already. So yeah, we can say the demand for developers aren't that there, but I don't think it's about developers for now.
Okay, I got it. I, all right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So, I'm gonna go to Grace this time. But then, before I ask like this question, yeah, what does it mean? I mean, what does coding mean for real, right? I've heard coding. I've heard software development. Anyways, I've heard coding. Which other time again? I've heard programming as a keyword. What else? I mean, a lot of words like that. So, what does coding mean? Because I know that people are skeptical. People are, I mean, getting afraid or they are scared about the fact that AI is doing the coding, right? So, what does coding really mean, right? Can you tell us that? And probably, I mean, I can take it from there.
Okay, is that for me?
Yeah, Grace.
Okay. Yeah, so like you rightly said, right, we have software engineers, we have
Mm,
programmers, we have coders, and um most people use this term interchangeably, really. The difference between a software engineer and a coder in code, right, is the fact that
mm,
software engineering involves a lot of design, right? Involves creative thinking, critical thinking, design, right? And then coding. Then you have to write the code, right? So that is why when you say AI, the emergence of AI is writing most of the code for us. It's not exactly the thinking part of it, right? The software engineers will do it, right? So that is why a software engineer would not just call himself a coder. That is essentially what you do. Someone gives you the algorithm, someone tells you what to code, and you just write syntax, right? You just convert the syntax. But as a software engineer, you think, you design, and then you write code.
great, great. Thank you for that explanation. I mean, it sounds like an explanation to a primary school student. I mean, I could relate to that. Anyways, that was fantastic. So, I mean, let's have a follow up question to this, right? We are in the age where everyone is making the noise. ChatGPT is here to stay here and there. So, can you? I mean, Sam can take this up anyways. Can you tell me about ChatGPT and how this is shaping the way, I mean, people write code or the whole coding, I mean, perspective? So
Right? Is that for me or someone?
anyone can pick it up. Feel free.
Go
Maybe, I
for
mean, you
it.
can share your thoughts. You can share your thought, and then probably someone would do a follow up on that and just write on it.
Okay, okay. So what is ChatGPT, well, so my use of ChatGPT, right, is like a simpler version of Google. Right? I don't have to like put my questions on Google and then go page to page to look for exactly what I'm looking for. And then for software engineering, I don't have to go to Stack Overflow and start checking page by page before I get my answer. Right? The AI simply takes your questions and gives you a direct response. And I've used it. In fact, I just started using it extensively in the past 1 or 2 years. And I realized it's actually very good. Like most
Ah,
times, it gives me exactly what I want. Like when I ask questions, it gives me exactly the answers I'm looking for. So yeah, for programmers or software engineers, it does make code writing easy. Right? Like you're writing a program, and then you have a bug, and you just copy the error. This is on site. It gives you it tells you what they're running, tells you what suggests what to do, of course, and then you tend to apply it. I feel it saves more time than going to Stack Overflow to check page by page. And sometimes a lot some software engineers spend a lot of time on Stack Overflow because it does not immediately give you the answers you want. But it is still people that are putting those answers there. You just go from page to page and stuff. So ChatGPT, like I said, just a simpler version of
a
GPT.
stack. Great. Thank you very much for that. Samuel, do you want to write on that?
I think she has said almost everything I want to say. But yeah, but yeah, so it's generative AI is like generally, right? And specifically ChatGPT, right? It's a wonderful tool, right? And then I feel like for me, I see it more like an assistive tool, right? Something that helps you improve your productivity as opposed to something that actually helps you do your work, right? If how you think of the tool is that, oh, you're just going to give this tool what you're supposed to do, um and that's how you want to use it. I mean, by the time you start interacting more with it, if you've been using it more, you'd realize that um, there are a number of things that ChatGPT gives you, confidently. It's going to tell you that these things are sort of like the way they are, but it's a very open-minded, conversational AI. It's just so beautiful. If you know exactly what you want, if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can, help, change its opinion and stuff. So basically, like, you still need to like know your onions, right, for you to make the best use of the tool itself, right? So it's not just something that you just tell it to give you something, right? If you don't know exactly what you want to do, you will just take that like blindly. And then I mean, it probably would not help your productivity. Like I mean, I've tried it. I'm sure if you try to like use the tool for areas where you're not that that confident or whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And then your idea is to use it blindly to to solve your problem, you realize how much, I mean, once you have like a roadblock, you won't even be able to like correct the tool itself. You won't be able to tell it that, oh, you were wrong with XYZ. This is exactly what I want. Because most of the time, if you tell ChatGPT that, oh, you gave me this, right, you're able to spot whatever isn't right about the tool, right? It
True.
finds a way to sort of like correct itself and then try to like give you a better suggestion or no. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So that's majorly how I see it, is that the assistive, to me, assistive technology stage right now. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to give you some level of support. It's not You're not supposed to hand over your work like
Yeah.
100% to the machine. It should help you, like guide you, and then give you whatever thing you need just to make your work faster, and then improves your productivity. That sort of
Yeah.
like
And
thing.
also, you saying it's an open-minded AI just reminded me of I think I got scared. I asked a question and then the AI responded, with, I'm not sure of this, but it's what I
But I'm
think.
still good.
It's kind
Okay.
of very funny
Yeah.
to me, right? So yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's open-minded, right? Because sometimes if you're asking questions and then tell you that, well, I'm not certain about this solution, but then if you can always counter like the AI, and the next time it just recalibrates itself and then
Yeah.
readjust to
Yeah.
your new answer, right? So which is like for now, I think it's still not connected to the internet, right? So pretty cool. Um, but I see Bing. I think Bing is coming to the market right now, which is another level of search. Goodness. I don't know if you're familiar with that already, Samuel. Have you used it? Have you used it already? I mean, you guys
Uh,
I mean, you're behind the scene. So talk to me. What are you guys working on? I mean, you guys are building the
you know,
product. Why am I, why am I even asking? Like, you should tell me already.
no,
Tell me about Bing.
I mean, for the most part of it, right? I think I'm
Yeah.
mostly at liberty to like talk about what the average person probably knows about Bing's integration with like ChatGPT. So
Hmm.
there are levels of information I can give. You
Of
understand what
course.
I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Yeah. So
sure, sure.
um yeah, I really can't say much about what the business model is supposed to like be, right? Because
Hmm.
search and search and generative AI, they are sort of like you know um two different things. Like what I mean is like typical search engines, right? For example,
Hmm.
Google, right?
Hmm.
There's a business model that sits behind how Google works. Like, I mean, the same way OpenAI has, ChatGPT, Google has Bard, and then from the review, it's not say Bard is that is I mean, it's actually agreed to, right? But there's such
Hmm.
a thing as um there's this particular statement they could I can't remember the exact use of word. There's something they call like investor. I don't know if it's investor dilemma or something. I don't know the exact use of it, but what it simply means is that sometimes even when you have like another technology, another emerging technology, or another new technology, right?
Hmm.
If that technology is going to kill your existing business model, right? You probably do you want to think about how you want to make money from it first before you start leveraging it. So this is in the case of like Google. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Oh,
Google makes a
okay.
lot of money through ads. When you see those links that you see, you know, those links that you see that people click on, that's where the
True.
money is coming from, right? And then
Hmm.
ChatGPT doesn't give you that. ChatGPT just gives you, or generative AI basically just give you like a single answer, right? So
Hmm.
you have to redefine. Every company needs to like so like redefine what that business model means for them. In the case of Microsoft, I
Hmm.
think I mean, I don't know. I really can't say much. I really can't
I
say
mean,
much,
feel
but
free. It's okay.
I know that I mean the organization is going all out. You know, we are going all out on on ChatGPT. So sorry on AI integration with a lot of of our businesses. So I think it's more of like the integration with like different tools that you know
Hmm.
um the average user of the ecosystem, right, would want to
Hmm.
like leverage. So we are, it's not just for Bing, it's not just in Bing. I think Satya announced it like I think it was like last week or so. It's not just Bing announcement they make. They made Bing announcement together with like the new integration of ChatGPT with Edge browser itself. So which is really
Mind
remarkable.
blowing.
Just like yeah, you see that mind blowing that you said right now. Yeah, that's exactly what it is because I've used it. So
Ah, right. This man
yeah,
is
so
proud.
yeah, so like I said, I really can't say much about what the business model will be. But one thing is certain, right? Um, I mean, the face of of technology, right,
Mm,
is going to change, right? We've been talking about
yeah.
agile, right? The level of agility that we will see in the tech space, and in terms of how much intelligent products are being rolled out, it will be
Mm,
it will be insane.
Wow,
It will be insane. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see that. But then, well, anyways, I've joined you guys waiting list. I've been expecting a mail from Microsoft. I don't know. I've downloaded the Bing on my phone. I've been checking my phone every single day to get a mail that, oh, now you can use the Bing app. But unfortunately, I've not been accepted or something. So hopefully they would give me the access and I can give my personal review and then come for you, Samuel. I'm coming for
Okay.
you.
No problem.
All right, let's quickly move away from ChatGPT. Let's talk about other low-code platforms, right? I've seen one for mobile development. It's something called Flutterflow.
Okay.
Flutterflow is like a low-code platform. It allows you to be able to create an app without writing a single line of code, just drag and drop, and it generates the code for you, right? I see that that's another angle, and some of these guys are also integrating like AI, infusing AI into their
Yeah.
workflow and the rest. What do you think would be, because now, I mean, as a let me call it, as a product owner, I can literally go to the local platform and do some sort of drag and drop,
Hmm.
generate the app. It does the
Yeah.
deployment for me, and I'm live already. As a founder,
Yeah.
I won't have to hire an engineer for that. So, what do you think is the future of coding, not software development? And like, what is the future of coding when we have even low code platforms competing with generative like platforms as
Generative
well?
AI.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's more of like the engineers are just in the fix. We are just in the middle of all of these situations, right? So, what do you think is the future of coding in the midst of all of these things, like low code platform, for example?
Yeah. So, okay. I think let Grace go for that. I don't know.
Okay, okay,
Okay. All right.
okay.
All right. Yeah. So, um, like I mentioned earlier, right? I
Mm,
mean, my prediction would be we should expect, first of all, a lot of agility in terms of how much, intelligent products are so like being rolled out, especially leveraging, uh, generative AIs. That are hard. It's not just ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is just is strictly text based, right?
mm,
We have other ones that generate like images for you. I mean, you create a prompt and then it generates images for you, and then you've got like other ones. So, but in terms of how will this affect how we program, right? Um, the way I sort of like see it is more like um, a time is going to come, right? That it really won't matter that much, how good you are in a programming language, right? Like your software engineering skills will probably be more important. We're not there yet, because to me I still believe that we're not there yet, because the AI tools out there, especially ChatGPT, I still see it as it's still at the assistive, technology, um, level, basically, because you have these models can easily spill out, the code that probably won't be like useful for you and stuff. So you still have to have a level of knowledge in whatever area that you are asking questions. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So,
mm,
but one thing is certain. I mean, we are talking about AIs with billions of parameters. Their job is to understand context. That's how they get better, right? The more context you understand, the better they get, right? Which means they will always get better at a pretty fast, pace, at a pretty
mm,
fast pace. So, I mean, what would that mean? What are we going to say that would mean for the average, software engineer, right? You would
mm,
probably, if your selling point as an engineer is, coding, basically is, spilling out the syntaxes and how much, domain knowledge you have in a particular programming language, right? I think over time, and by over time, I'm talking the space of like a year, 2 or 3, i- probably a year, 2, 3 is even too long, right? I mean,
mm,
your generative AI will be better at writing codes than than the average person. So, and like I said, agility is going to be. I mean, expectations are going to be changing from, like, product owners. Any product owner that understands that, there's such a thing as, ChatGPT, there's such a thing as low code. What they are thinking in terms of, like, developing a product is that they should be able to do it in little to no time and then go to market in little to no time, right? So if you as an engineer, your selling point is just, just writing the code, right? And then your engineering skills are not sharpened, right? Like Grace mentioned the other time, coding is just one phase of the entire software development life cycle, right? So and if coding is like your strong point, then you should know that, I mean, when they start talking about a technology replacing humans, one might fall victim of, being replaced. So so it's very much important that, I mean, more than anything, um you know being a software engineer still, I mean, is more important. Critical thinking, problem solving, those are more important. At the end of the day, you become a very good tool user. If problem solving is like your niche, you become a very good tool user, which means tools like ChatGPT or whatever tools that probably would come out later, they'll be to your own advantage. Yeah.
Great, great, great. I mean, that was self-explanatory. Thank you very much for that, Samuel. So like follow-up question to this, right? Grace is going to take this one. Is so now that I mean, Samuel has mentioned things around problem solving, you know, how then can we prepare for the future, right? Especially this age where we have people getting trained, future technologies. How can we prepare for the future? I know that some guys are coming up right now, some newbies are coming up. So how will they prepare? I mean, it's the reality already. There
Yeah.
are technologies. I remember those days when we started off coding as such. I mean, we had Pascal, we had COBOL and everything. And at a point, it was just full stack 100%. Yeah, there was also like front end, there was also like back end. What does that mean? We had to build everything back to back, from the front end to the back end to the business logic and everything. Yeah. So now we are in the age where we have specialists and everything. So what do you think will be the future? How do you think these guys are should be ready, for what is to come? Because this is just like a snippet, it's just like a sneak peek of what is to come. What is to come has not even arrived yet. But how
Yeah,
do we prepare for the future?
yeah. So one word I would say is adaptability. Like we need to program ourselves to be adaptable because the technology is evolving and
Yeah.
it's not going to slow down at all. So we have to
Mm,
evolve with it, right? And for one thing I see among people who are trying to get into this field is they focus more on programming language, right? But
mm,
the main thing we do in this field is problem solving. That is just it. Every piece of code you write, you're writing to solve a problem. Even whether it is UI, whether it is anything you write, it's towards solving a problem. How good are you at solving problems, right? So we need to take our focus away from, okay, this is framework I like, this is a language I like. Like frameworks are just tools, and really they're just things like these AI tools that are coming up, right? Very soon, it's just very soon, right? Next few months, next 1 2 years, it will be a matter of how fast can you pick up a new tool,
Yeah.
right? A better tool
mhm.
and learn it and use it to solve this problem, right? So it's going to be an issue of there's a problem on ground. First of all, can you even find the solution to it first before we now start talking about tools, right? If you don't find the solution to it, then what's the point? You are not valuable here. We don't need you, right? So it's going to be what I would say, right? Just to round this up is we should be adaptable. We should program ourselves to be adaptable as technology is evolving. Don't be fixated on programming languages. Like a very senior engineer once told me that the last thing on your mind as a software engineer is the programming language. That should be the
Yeah.
last thing on your mind. Like it should be okay, I'm going to join this organization. What problem are they trying to solve? before you even start thinking that is it Java the right, is it Python the right? If they write Python and they don't understand the problem that needs solved, that can solve, then you won't be valuable there. And the
mm,
future, right, in the next 3 years, the way the future, the way technology is evolving right now, companies might not actually need you as a coder anymore. Like it will be the difference between a senior engineer and a junior engineer might no longer be how good are you with this programming language. So
mm,
right now the difference, some people will tell you, difference between a senior software engineer and a junior software engineer. Senior software engineers, like they are still trying to learn this creative problem solving skills, like because they are good
mm,
in programming languages. Senior software engineers, they don't care about programming languages. I can solve this problem. Give me any skill, right? Even if it's a
mm,
skill I've never used, I would use it. But very soon, that difference will no longer be there. It will just be a criteria for you to be a good software engineer. It won't be a criteria
mm,
for you to be either junior or senior. It's just debate. Are you a software engineer?
mm,
It's not about writing code, right? Can you think?
mm,
Can you adapt to new technologies that are coming up? So yeah,
mm.
adaptability. Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much. To our audience, I mean, I don't know if you heard what Grace mentioned the other time, adaptability. It means that you should be able to adapt to, I mean, what is going on in the environment. I mean, the status quo, right? You have to be able to evolve over time, right? Because technology is changing, and you cannot afford to be in the past when people are already in the present and, in fact, anticipating the future already. All right. So let's talk about something. I was thinking about the medicine space recently, and I discovered that we still have doctors, right, saving lives. We still have nurses, right? I mean, in as much as we have tools, we have like sophisticated machines that does a lot of diagnoses and everything. We still have these guys. What do you think is a similarity, like in terms of how a doctor or how a nurse will operate and how a software engineer should think or should behave. Now, because I know that there is still demand for doctors, right? I mean, we have AI that you can have conversations with, right? But then there's still high demand for doctors. And so what makes it very different for them? Like what are they doing differently? And because I see that the software engineering is way more than what we think right now. I mean, everybody is just telling their fellow newbies, just go and learn HTML and CSS, blah blah blah. So what do you think is different in the medicine space that we can learn from as software engineers? Like, what's unique about medical doctors, I mean, nurses, that they are still relevant in this age where we have machines that can actually diagnose and give you results, like exact results, like the same thing as humans would do? What do you think they are doing differently that we should learn from? I don't know who wants to take that first.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
I'll go
Do you
after
want?
you.
Okay, no problem. Um, I'm going to have like a little shift in. So more than I see like a difference, right? I
Mm,
see a similarity. So there's a both similarities that even we as software engineers, we sometimes don't always think about, how much software engineering has evolved over years, right?
mm,
Every form of job, doctors, um, whatever, software engineering itself has evolved from one level to the other, right? For
mm,
example, if we're talking about, about 40 years back, right? You probably,
mm,
if you will be designing a software, right? You probably would not be talking about high level languages, right?
mm-hmm,
You'll be talking about system level languages or, low to system level languages. You get what I'm saying? That's what you will be
mm,
talking about, right?
mm,
But what happened then is that, you know, the barrier to entry, like if you are doing stuff like that, you're probably writing a lot of like codes that you probably would not, that is not necessarily like your business logic. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So what has
mm,
happened is tools have been created, time after time after time, right, to
mm,
evolve the software engineering role generally. Now I'm bringing
Mm,
this back to say medicine, right? There was a
mm,
time whereby you might probably have like a medical doctor that, apart from the fact that they would, diagnose a patient, right?
mm,
And then they would treat a patient, right? Um,
mhm,
a, a strong part of their job might probably be also to keep track of the records that they've gathered over time. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, right? They would have files in their hospitals, files upon files, maybe just for them to know what's wrong with this person, right? There's a productive, time, attached to that. You have people that would, queue up in hospitals, blah blah blah, just not because the doctor is, diagnosing someone. The doctor is just trying. They are looking for your file. They are looking for. These are like irrelevancies that does not necessarily affect how the doctor does his job. But what have we seen over time with the emergence of digital transformation and all, right?
mm,
That has positively affect how much a doctor can focus on his job. Do you get what I'm saying? Right?
mhm,
Because now that
mm.
we have tools are what makes everyone, focus less on those things they are not interested in and more in the areas they are more interested in. Do you understand what I'm saying? It has, helped doctors be better. Y- Tools don't replace people. They don't just replace people, right? If you are doing the job that a tool does, that's when you get replaced. If you are doing the job that a tool does, that's when you get replaced. If you are not doing the job that a tool does, you don't get replaced. The tool becomes something that helps you become productive, that assists you. The same way it's, you know, affects, medical doctors, positively. That's what I would say. They will always be relevant, right? They will always be relevant. Do you understand what I'm saying? The question we should be asking, I mean, years before now, how long does it take, a doctor to be able to, look at your medical history, you know, and then be able to say, oh, this might be what might be wrong with you. Think about it many years before now, and then look at, how quick a medical doctor can sort of like, make a conclusion. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah,
Because there's been tools that has, abstract that part of their life. Do you understand what I'm saying? They just need to look up a
yeah,
tool, right? And then, okay, yeah, okay, this is this, and then they start giving the right diagnosis. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So
yeah.
it's the same thing too for software engineers. We will always have, tools that abstract the inefficiencies in our software development lifecycle, right? And then they
Mm,
abstract them away so that we can focus on something else. That's basically how it is. So that we can focus on something else. Nobody would open no software engineer in this modern age would might probably know what an assembly code looks like. But every code you write has an assembly code, tied to it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
What you just know, you write your high level programming language that is good enough for you, right? And then
Mm,
we are getting to that level where you may not necessarily have to like sit back and start crunching this code. We now have tools that are, that could generate these codes for you. So the question we should be asking is then what next? you know, like for someone like me, I probably don't like the part I don't like, the most in SDLC is the part where I get to like crunch the code.
yeah,
Yeah, is the
yeah,
part
you're the
is
right
the
code.
yeah is the part where I get to like crunch the code because I'm not a great is it typist or what they call it. I'm not my typing speed isn't that great. So for people that their typing speed is that great, it might probably be fun. It's not that much fun for me. But the creative process, the problem solving process, that's the fun part for me. So for me, thank God for ChatGPT.
Just
you
copy and paste.
you understand? Like, I just get to like tell it like I mean the super feature about it is that conversational thing. I just get to tell it do XYZ. Oh, you didn't do it well. I get to correct it. But the point still remains that I know exactly what to tell it. Right. That's why we've been hearing things like prompt engineering is a thing, right? Prompt engineering is a thing now, right? And it probably would matter. Your ability to ask choose the right question for them to be able to assist you to be productive. It will matter. So that's
Wow.
just basically my perspective.
Okay. Before I ask Grace to share her own sense as well, I mean, That's where it starts from. Prompt engineering is going to be a new thing. And I'll say, do you have prompt engineering skill? Like, if you cannot communicate with an AI, sorry, we cannot hire you. You need to have that skill. So you have to be part of your soft skills.
Yeah.
Wow, that's 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 a whole lot. I mean, a whole lot. So, Grace, what do you have to say to this?
Yeah, so I'm just looking for choice for one Samuel said. The fact that for medical practitioners, right, the use of the emergence of these machines definitely makes them more efficient, right?
Mm,
Data storage, data gathering, and imaging, for example. In the
Yeah.
past, I'm not entirely sure how they did imaging, but I'm sure it would have been strenuous and would be very time consuming, right? For the doctors to have start taking imaging and then start looking for exactly what he needs to find, right, in the scan or image. Right. But now we have tools that take this and machines can be very meticulous, right? They are built to be very meticulous. So they take the images for you and the doctor just has to like look at it well to see what is looking for. Like it makes their work efficient. And the same thing with software engineers. This tools only make our work efficient. The use of ORM, for example, like for software engineers, excuse me,
Right.
use of ORM, for example, for software engineering, right? It makes work efficient for you. Right? Sometimes you just feel you don't have to type in raw SQL code, right? SQL queries. So you use ORM for that. The use of GitHub Copilot, right? Once you start, it learns from what you have written initially. Right? So once you start writing your code, it completes it for you. Just click tab and it completes the code for you. But I
mm,
realized that sometimes it completes it based on what it thinks I want to write. It's not always what I want to implement. It does not know
Yeah.
the logic right
Yeah.
in my head. Does not exactly know the problem I'm trying to solve with that code. So yeah, it generates the code for me, and the only thing I need to do is to modify things
Yeah.
where it needs to be modified. So it makes it work more efficient. That's just it.
great, great, great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you very much for that. So let's quickly talk about something here. Let me see. So yeah, you mentioned something about problem solving and the rest, and I know that one of the skills that you must have, not should, you must have as a software engineer is that problem solving. It helps you identify a problem and come up with different solutions to tackle that problem. All right. And that's what we basically do, right, in software development, where a client or a user comes with a problem, you look at it and you say, well, we can actually solve this problem in 1001 ways, but I have one most efficient for you, right? So, what do you think is going to be the future of creativity for humans, especially where the coding side has been handled by machine, right? So what's going to be the future for creativity? Grace, do you want to start first, and then Samuel would share his own sense as well?
Alright, so the first thing is the understanding the problem, right? You cannot be exactly creative enough to provide solution and meet that problem if you don't understand. Right? So you are bringing a problem to you and in the future, right, let's assume we are in the future where you don't even need to write much code, right? You have tools that will assist you with that. You need to understand the problem. And that's where design thinking comes in. Right? One
Mhm.
thing that they used to hammer on us is design thinking. It's a very important thing. Right? You have a problem. You need to understand the people that are even going through that problem. Right? You need to understand the needs where that problem is coming from before you can prepare solutions. Now it is understanding the problem that helps you to prepare creative solutions, right? And proper solutions, and then you use our writing the code. Right?
Great, great. Thank you. Sam, do you want to share anything from your side?
Yeah. So I think for everyone who gets to leverage this tool well. So, and I'm speaking in terms of like, software engineering, basically, right? So, you'd agree with me that um, one particular, I mean, one of the bottlenecks, that might limit one's level of creativity as an engineer would be the level of complexity you think would be involved when you're trying to implement, you know, when you're trying to, implement whatever it is that you've thought of, right?
Yeah.
And then it could just be that I mean you have an idea of how to do something, but you also have an understanding of your knowledge gap as a person, your skill level, right? So it's one bottleneck that I've seen, like, over time. For example, I want to implement a process that does XYZ, but I
Mm,
know that my knowledge base as an engineer has not gotten to that level, right? And it's always easy for everyone to just focus on problem that they can easily solve, right? That they are, you know that you're not going to spend so much time. But now with the emergence of, um, AI tools that understand context pretty much, right? So what that simply means is that one might have like little, um I mean, that bottleneck in terms of, creativity flow, or creativity block that, the average person would, have, then,
mm,
stops becoming a thing, because now you can easily, convince yourself that, okay, yeah, I can just think about this idea, right? Create a proper process flow. I know there are boxes that I don't know how to implement, but there is a tool that is almost like an expert tool, right? That can actually, show me ways of how to solve this particular part that I thought would be, um, mm, would be big. So basically, what that simply means is that now I'm allowed to be as creative as I want to be, right? So
mm.
I mean, this would, introduce us to a world where, you would have a lot of wonderful ideas, would have groundbreaking, like, beyond what we've seen, groundbreaking ideas that no one would have, thought of that was,
Sort of.
possible. Yeah,
Hmm. Great. I think this reminds me of something, right? I remember that I was having a conversation with like a project manager, and I was just curious to know why it takes engineers, some engineers, anyways, forever for them to deliver their product and everything, right? I mean, some of these guys are actually clueless as well. They don't know. It's still a mystery, right? And one of the things I've noticed is that most of these clients or these like companies come up with short timelines, right? Now, within this timeline, you want the engineer to be extremely creative, to think about the best possible approach or the best possible solution to a particular problem, right? And then you still want the guy to write a code to implement
Yeah.
that solution. So
yeah,
I think based on what you just said right now, the engineers will have more time to
yeah,
focus on the creative side of things
yeah,
rather than the actual work itself, right? So I feel that, I mean, for me, from my side, I feel that engineers should spend more time or invest more of their resources in how they can think and how they can, think outside the box and improve the way they, approach problems such that they can have diverse solutions, to like different problems, right? So, I mean, ChatGPT is just taking a part of the work off our, I mean, neck, such that we will not have to tell you won't have to tell your employer that, hey, I mean, I've been thinking about different solutions, and then so because of that I couldn't implement. I mean, once you're done, you have enough time to think. Just load or feed feed the machine like, hey machine, I have this solution and I want you to help me implement it. Very simple. And I just give it to you, and then you get it done. Very simple. So I think AI is just here to assist us, not to take away, I mean, the job from us, right? We're gonna have new rules, as I said before. Prompt engineer will become a thing. Don't worry. I mean, I can see that already. Yeah, you will have a prompt engineer. So we're gonna. So what is gonna, for me? What I see the future is the role, like the software engineering role, will be redefined in such a way that in a team, in a software engineering team, we're going to have a prompt engineer, that your job is to get the idea or the solution or whatever solution that the software engineer um, um, already has, and feed it to the AI to generate something that works. There will be a kind of sync or a synergy between a prompt guy, a prompt engineering guy, and a software engineer. You'll be working together. Do you get? But the reality is that there won't be a thing of software engineers will have to be retired for prompt engineers, right? I mean, it's just my thought, anyways.
I just like to say, I just like to say that it has always been, it has always been the case that as a software engineer, we focus more on thinking first than the project. It's just that
Yeah.
more emphasis is being put on it now because AI
Mm,
Yeah.
is threatening jobs of people that did not really
Yeah.
invest in thinking. It has always been that way, just that now we are taking
now we are
AI is
seeing it.
our job. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I
In,
mean,
in,
even I remember that. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
yeah, no problem.
I remember that there was a time where software engineers would be the QA. I mean, for their products, right? I mean, it was like QA tester. Like, what was that? But now we have QA testers, and engineers are not, feeling terrible. I mean, for that, right? So there will be an evolution, and we are already in that phase where some load, like some responsibilities, will be taken off engineers, so that you can focus on the more important things.
Yeah.
We have so many things to do, but we don't have the time to get those things done. If somebody is coming to me and then giving me a problem to solve, and you want me to do that in 7 days and with the implementation, that can cause a fight. But now, if I say 7 days, I would have my time to think outside the box and come up with different solutions, and then we have the most efficient one, and then get a machine to write the code. Coding, like as you said before, I dread using my keyboard to code, but I like to think. Just give me a problem. Let me just look for different solutions. And then boom. I mean, we are good. But to be typing, if equals to, if this greater than five equal, no, 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 no. Then else, if else, switch case statement. It's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work, and these things are repetitive. Like, you will always use a for loop, you will always use a while loop at a point. You will use an if statement at a point. You will use a switch. Like, they are repetitive things that you will have to use over and over again. They are not new things, right? So if we spend our time on those things that are not, it's like we are investing our time in the minor, right? Instead of focusing on the major things, right? So AI is here to help us. I think you want to say something before Samuel, before I before that
Yeah.
interruption.
Oh yeah, no problem. So I was just going to like um buttress on like what you mentioned already. So
Mm,
but there's also one side to it, right?
mm,
To be honest, for me, like I don't even see like um I don't see any new thing in terms of the use of, like generative AI, to like ChatGPT. What I've only
mm.
seen is that we are now using like a different tool. Like what is
Yeah,
likely to happen is people just using, because don't let me assume that people are ready. People using a different tool for what they've always
yeah,
been, doing, right? The average developer stack there's a reason why Stack Overflow is almost like the average developer's best friend, right? And
yeah.
everyone knows the rigor of trying to find the actual
Different solutions.
stack
Yeah, yeah.
yeah Stack Overflow problem, solution that solves whatever query that you have, whatever problem that you have. So googling, also everybody knows that the better you are at googling stuffs, the more efficient you're likely to be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm also seeing the average engineer will probably save his or herself that stress you know to
Mm.
be a prompt engineer. No, I don't actually like that name anyways. I don't like that name. To me,
No,
it just sort of
Samuel.
it makes it look important. I don't know, but it's important though. You understand? So I mean, it would be fun if we now start having like dedicated roles, where
Ah,
one's job is to provide prompts. But I feel like
from you know.
more than prompt engineering, right, is important for the productivity of an average software engineer, right? I think it's also important for building the next level of intelligent systems out there, right? Because I mean, I feel like you don't be surprised, like in the next 1 to 3 years we start having like new startup. There's going to be like a bubble, right? Which is like normal, an AI, bubble, right? Within the next few years, and then startups are just going to come. A lot of startups, trying to come up with tools. Because one thing is certain, almost everyone can see, the gap between what ChatGPT can do and then what is actually possible, right? A typical example will be, the way you would use a ChatGPT is, I mean, everything is, is text based, right? Right? Nothing goes beyond text based. You have a smart system that everything it can do to understand context, and everything it can do is just to return whatever it feels like is the best response to you as text. But it doesn't necessarily mean that when the average human being wants answer to whatever question they ask, they just need, a text response. Most of the time they need like, physical action or something, right? A typical example would be, maybe someone wants to think of a designer, right? Asking
Yeah.
question and then ChatGPT, so like returns, response about designing text. It wouldn't do that person that much help, right? But imagine someone, leveraging ChatGPT response and then taking that to then, build something that comes in form of like whatever Figma will give you. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like, and there are we are going to have like lot of tools, right? And all of those, new tools or system that will be built, they will depend on, how good anyone consuming these generative AI tools, how good that person is able to provide the right questions for the AI to answer. So even for internal dev loops, generative AI, sorry, prompt engineering will still be very, very important outside of just, helping people with productivity.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Fantastic, fantastic. I think one of these days I would will have a collaboration as regards that prompt engineering support. I'm already seeing having to probably create a kind of cheat sheet for software engineers, right? Probably we can work on that together.
Yeah, that would be
Maybe
nice.
Grace, you can jump on that if you're available.
Yeah,
That
I'm
So
good.
that
so
would be
we'll
nice.
help you. I will just like create like different prompts that you can actually use when you are leveraging ChatGPT, because the better you are at using it, the better for you anyways. Right. So I think we can work on that. I mean, let's help the developer community so that they will not have to hire a prompt engineer, as you said,
Yeah.
let's let's keep it that simple, right? Okay, so before you I go to the final question here. If you have any question, all right, please feel free to use the comment box, I mean, on LinkedIn. I'll take a look at that side very soon. So please, if you have questions, please ask your questions now. And you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. Of course, I can forward them to Samuel and Grace after the meeting. All right. So the final thing I would like us to talk about is overall advice. Like, what advice will you give for? I'll start with Grace, and then Samuel would take it. So, what advice will you give, like someone who is just coming into tech, and now they are hearing, I mean, different things. Someone is telling them that, dude, you don't have to learn anything. There's ChatGPT. There is low code. What do you think should be what do you think should be an advice to those people, that if you're going into tech right now, this is where you should start from, this is how you should move, don't go and waste your time with this one, because Google is never going to tell you that anyways. Google would still recommend, yeah, because Google doesn't really know. Google doesn't know whether you are it's still like it's obsolete or it's still fresh information. So as a newbie, we are searching every day. They are searching every single day. So what advice will you give them? Like, just share a few things, and then someone can take it from there. All right.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to say that there's still demand for software engineers, not coders, software
Mm.
engineers. Right? There's
Grace has a beef.
I don't
You have
see
to
that
be.
part.
You have
I
a
Yeah,
love
beef
the
so,
with these people.
I love the subtle stuff.
but there is still demand, right? A lot of companies are getting digitalized right now. Right? Most companies are going digital. And the more these companies go digital, the more demand for software engineers, right? You need
Mm,
people. So AI is not going to take the job, right? That's one thing I believe. The only thing is that AI will take the jobs of people that are not growing, right? If you are doing the
mm,
work that AI can easily do in a company, then it will definitely replace you, right? But as a software engineer, AI is not going to take the job, right? And for upcoming people that want to go into software engineering, go into tech,
yeah.
I just like to say, don't go into it with the mind of being an expert in one programming language. That's like the most relatable thing I can tell you. Right? Don't go into it with the mindset of that. Go into it with the mindset of solving problems, right? I'll keep emphasizing on that. Right? Go into it with the mind of solving problems, using any tool. Be open to adapting to any tool. Be open to learning. Software engineers learn every day, like every day. You can work in a company and then they give you something to build, a task, right? And you have to finish it within a sprint, right? Like let me
Mm,
just quickly give an example. There was about I think last month we had to do something in my company and we had to roll it out within a sprint, right? Now everyone on that team had not used that technology before. That we needed to go and start learning how to use it. It was blockchain related.
wow.
Right. We needed to go and start. I've never gone into a blockchain, but we need to demo this thing, right? We need to be out before the end of the spring. Right. And
Mm,
before the end of the spring, we had all learned it and we're able to roll it out. So that is what really makes the software engineer. How quick can you pick up something new
Yeah.
and learn it to solve a
mm,
problem? That is the end goal, right? So you can start with the programming language or something, but just have in mind that you are going in there to solve problems. It's not just HTML and CSS. Right? There was a time when there was a time when it was okay to just build static websites, right? So it's like
mm.
it was okay for businesses. But it got to a point where businesses wanted their customers, people to be able to interact with their site, with their website. And then that's when we have what we call backend now and stuff. That builds the part that helps them interact with all that. So yeah, first be open to learning new things. Be very open to learning new things. And yeah, I definitely is evolve with it. Don't just be an expert in one language, right? And develop your thinking skills. It actually takes work to develop. That's the truth, right? It's not everyone that goes with it that has. I wouldn't call it a gift, right? Because you still see very serious software engineers studying algorithms like crazy, right? So you have to like develop your thinking skills, how you approach
Mm.
problems, right? So that's what I have to say.
Great, great. Thank you very much for that advice. I mean, this is going to come in very handy to upcoming engineers, right? So, Samuel, do you want to wrap that up now?
Yeah. I love the little historical context that Grace gave in terms of in terms of how the tech space has so like changed, right? She mentioned days of when static websites were the thing, right?
Mm.
um no one really cared about whether you are a front end or a back end. It probably didn't matter, right?
Mm.
But when the need for interaction with website became a thing, right? It almost you know became it changed the entire tech space, right? Because now
Yeah.
hardly will you find anyone that would ask you a question that if you're a tech person, the next question they will ask you, are you front end or back end or full stack or something? That's what they will ask you, right? And then
Yeah.
it's very interesting that, I mean, I mean, during the days of like static website, nobody would ask you front end or back end or full stack, right? So
Mm,
the reason why I'm bringing that into perspective, and I think this would also, she's already mentioned, advices that would benefit like newbies, you know.
mm,
But for also experienced folks, right? For experienced folks, um, I'm very huge and heavy on the fact that I think the tech space will be changing soon, right? We are
mm.
probably in the era of intelligence everywhere, right? The way
Yeah.
intelligence everywhere, right? So the need for smart whatever it is, you can just add any suffix smart whatever it is, that would become a thing like very soon. So I feel like as a software engineer, you know um being aware of um how intelligent systems operate, right? Now is not the time to start saying, oh, you know I'm not doing ML, I'm not doing data science or whatsoever, right? There's a time where it's not even there's a time we are almost already there, right? If you're not trying to study, how, or the back end of generative AI is, like the way they use large language models, right?
Mm,
To do all these things, just having an idea, be I mean positioning oneself for what the future might look like, right? It's very, very important. This is like a new age where everyone gets to start learning new things as well, like learning new things. Or like for me, I started picking up AI, so so and which is very, very important. It is very, very important. The reason why I'm talking about this is because you know no one saw you know this advent of generative AI coming. Trust me, AI has been there, but no one saw a million users, a million
mm,
chat GPT users, right? For it
mm.
in 3 days. No one saw
That's
that. And from
that's
what
huge.
I heard, I heard that like the user base of ChatGPT is almost getting towards like 100 million or something, 100
Yeah,
million
yeah,
users. Yeah.
yeah.
So and we are
It's
talking about in
crazy.
how many months? In how many months, right? So what does that tell you as an engineer? You would know that in few years. And I need to also talk about the opportunities that the type of AI that we have right now, general purpose AI, right? The opportunity it presents, it's enormous because there are a number of like local problems that we really cannot solve, right? That are very expensive to solve without artificial intelligence being so like
In the
being
picture.
being in the picture, or easy access or cheap to use. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right.
Mm,
So now is the time for us to have um for us to be able to like think about solving local problems leveraging AI. Someone shared like a document with me about how the Indian government, right, the Indian government is trying to solve I think their education problem. When did ChatGPT become a thing? When did it become a thing, right? They are
mm,
trying to, they want their students to still be educated, but at the same time keep their languages and stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? That
mm,
barrier that language creates, in learning,
mm,
they are using, generative AI to do it because such system understand context so much, right? So
mm.
it's like they are building like a translation system or so. I really don't know details about it, but someone shared it with me and I'm like, this is interesting. An entire country's government, right, is taking this upon themselves to solve local problems, right? Because and the reason why they're doing it is because it's cheap to do now, or it will be cheap to do. That's the reality of it, right? It will be cheap to do. At least for now, none of us is paying yet for ChatGPT. you know, I mean,
But
the
then you are
people.
coming to charge me, Abby.
Yeah, yeah, we know. I mean, the big guns in the game,
Okay.
they will figure out the business model. They'll figure out the
Mm,
business model that works at the end of the day. They'll figure out the
mm,
business model that works. I mean, if you look at search engines, we we have no idea, the level of compute involved in building a search engine, right? And then the
mm.
average person uses it almost every day. And then how we think of search engine is that it's cheap. Sorry, it's free. It's not even cheap. Sorry, it's free,
Yeah, it's
right?
free. It's a whole
You
lot.
know, the people who built it, they invested heavily into it, right? And then they decided to say they built first before saying, okay, yeah, this is going to be the business model. You know what? People will use it for free, but their data is how they pay us back, right? And then we get to use their data, to
For
for
marketing and the
ads, for
rest.
marketing, for whatsoever, that feedback. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
now is that time, in my own opinion. Now is that time for um for everyone to start picking interest in understanding how large language models work, or their equivalent, or how intelligent systems works, basically. I think that would be
Mm.
my closing note or closing remark.
Thank you so much, Samuel, for that. And Grace, that was fantastic as well. Thank you very much. I think my final piece here is I expect that tech newbies should position themselves right in this age. You have to be all out. Don't be too rigid. I mean, don't be that kind of person that is just overly obsessed with a niche, right? Just don't niche
Mhm.
yourself ahead of time. Like it's too
Yeah.
early. You're still learning. Don't start thinking about front end when you have not even you don't even understand what it means to be a software engineer, right? So there
Yeah.
has to be that open-mindedness, right, where you are open to understand how technology works and how software engineering works. I mean, the principles behind it and how you can better the lives of people. I mean, have the heart for people. I mean, you should just start from there. Just have the heart
Yeah.
for people, where you start thinking about how can I use my skills to better the lives of people, and then you
Thank you.
start
Yeah.
you will just discover that your mind be open. You see, so I read a book one time like that, and they said that ideas are flying everywhere. Ideas fly every day, every single day, and is looking for someone who is open, right? So if your mind is not open, ideas doesn't I mean won't come, won't show up. So as a newbie, I feel my recommendation is that don't create a niche for yourself here. Don't do that. Focus on your basics, the fundamentals, problem solving. Have that mind for people, where you are always thinking about how you can improve the society, how you can improve the lives of people, how you can improve the way you work personally, how you can improve your productivity. That's where it starts from. I mean, if you go that lane, in the long run, you discover that you are going to be a fantastic software engineer, because every single time they will always want you on the squad. Like, this guy, I can assure you that he's going to give us the right solution, because he's always thinking. He's always thinking. He's a people person. Like, he's always open to share different ideas, and then he's always open to solve problems. And that's where you have to get to, right? As a incoming software engineer, that kind of thing. Because I've seen a lot of incoming on my LinkedIn recently. I say, wow, you're a software engineer incoming, have you? Correct. So, well, thank you very much, guys. There is a course coming out first week of March. That's the software development starter kit. Sorry, in this course, I didn't mention anything like HTML and CSS, because I'm sorry, I did not talk about it. Because anybody can teach you HTML these days, right? So, so the course is just going to help you and will guide you on what to learn. I mean, I talked about data structure and algorithm, problem solving, time complexity, space complexity. How technology is changing our world right now. How you can be a part of this force, or how you can be a part of this moving, or how you can be a part of this movement. All right. So please, it's going to come out. It's going to be launched on the 7th of March, thereabout. Um, if you get the link, just, of course, go ahead and take the course. It's going to be a couple of hours, like, watch. And it's kind of interesting. Of course, it is interesting. So you can go to my website, temidayoadefioe.dev. Right there, you can just pre-enroll for now. I'm not charging you at the moment. Just pre-enroll, just show interest that you are interested in this course, and I can reach out to you personally once it goes live on the 7th of March. All right. This point, you need direction, and that's what the course is going to do for you. It's going to give you that direction that you need to be successful in your career. Don't allow, I mean, ChatGPT is not going to take your job, but if you don't do the right thing, it can give you leg over, like left and right. So do the right thing and then stay on course. Like it's very, very important. Stay on course and don't be distracted. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. Again, Samuel, it was fantastic conversation. Grace, it was beautiful chat. I mean, I enjoyed myself. I didn't want this to end, but then this is over an hour already. We need
Yeah.
to call it a wrap. Yeah, so the this video is gonna be, it's in fact by the time I end this stream, you will see it on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So feel free to go back and rewatch at any time, guys. If you know that you were not able to like meet up with all the conversations that we had during this webinar. All right, so you can catch up on on my LinkedIn and of course my YouTube channel. Right, so you can always have a recap right there. So overall, thank you so much, and I look forward to having you guys next month. I'm going to share more details on what the next month webinar is going to be about, but just stay tuned, right? Grace, thank
Yes.
you,
Thank you.
senior, the boss, senior engineer, and Samuel. Thank you very much for always coming around. And Grace,
You're welcome.
get ready. I'll, I'll bring you. I'll bring you for subsequent
Sure.
chats like this. So please, I mean, you're part of the family already, just like Sam. You know, I've been dragging Sam for meetups like over and over. Like the guy, I don't know if he's always. I hope you're not tired of me already. Because I have brought him several times on this show. I mean, it's very important that we build a
Yeah.
very strong community, and then you guys can be an inspiration to other people. And it's, I mean, no matter how many times you have to talk about it, you just have to reinforce me. I mean, reinforcement is very important when it comes to learning. You have to say things repeatedly over and over again. All right. And that's why I always want to have you guys on board. So, Grace, I might call you again. Please do me the honor
Sure.
to, you know, show up and then we can have another chat live on my platforms. All right. Thank you again. And then have a wonderful evening, guys. We'll catch up.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself. And then
And you
use
too.
use the low code platform well, use the chat GPT well, enjoy it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just remembered Samuel, Grace, I'm gonna reach out to you guys very soon so that we can have our prompt conversation, then have a probably face-to-face where people can always
Okay.
go back to it and then enjoy themselves. Yeah.
Um,
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this month. Bye.
bye.
Bye. Thanks.